Given the show's longevity and cultural impact, it was inevitable that a plethora of fan fiction would be produced in honor of The Simpsons. Typically, such tributes take the form of illustrations, remixes of classic scenes, or fan films. Usually, when it comes to producing a fan film, people simply take existing footage from the show and piece it together to produce an original story. Other times, Simpsons fans go above and beyond and produce a tribute video from scratch, altering the iconic art style and the overall tone of the show to produce something that's truly unique that's both familiar and alien at the same time. Much like the fan-made 2020 short film by YouTuber Hoolopee, Homer Loses It, which takes the usually colorful and lighthearted Simpsons universe and turns it into a dystopian nightmare as Homer suffers a mental breakdown after losing a child. The Homer Loses It short begins with a cold opening of Homer crying hysterically at Bart's grave. After leaving Bart's crusty doll at the foot of the tombstone, Homer leaves. As he drives away, he's haunted by memories of Bart, including a reference to The Simpsons' time on the Tracy Ullman Show between 1987 and 1989, with Homer's old catchphrase about milkshakes.
Catch this one, and we all get chocolate milkshakes!
Before having a break from reality as he falls into hell in a sequence that pays tribute to the iconic scene from the Devil and Homer Simpson segment from the Treehouse of Horror 4 installment, the 5th episode of the 5th season, which first aired in October 1993. There's then a reference to Blinky, the iconic three-eyed fish from Two Cars in Every Garage and Three Eyes on Every Fish, the 4th episode of the 2nd season, which first aired in November 1990. In Homer's surreal nightmare, he chases a giant floating Bart in a T-pose. Homer's brought back to reality as he pulls up to a stoplight. While he waits, he sees an Itchy and Scratchy billboard promoting an installment of the show in which Scratchy finally gets revenge after years of falling victim to Itchy.
Itchy's a jerk.
The idea of Scratchy's revenge is a reference to the in-universe short Burning Down the Mouse. It first appeared in the 3rd episode of the 5th season of The Simpsons, Homer Goes to College, which originally aired in October 1993. Homer then looks around and notices that Herman's military antique store has a sale on guns. Lenny then approaches Homer and drunkenly rambles about Bart's death and Homer's obvious struggles following the tragedy before Homer speeds off menacingly.
Don't do anything stupid, Homer!
There's a smash cut to Mr. Burns' mansion, where Homer is standing at the gates fuming. However, when Mr. Burns pulls up in his limo and demands to know why Homer is loitering, Homer panics and simply runs away. All up, the short is around just 2 minutes and 45 seconds long, but it's the result of countless hours of experimentation, dedication, and focus from one talented and ambitious person who was always well aware that all his effort could easily go completely unappreciated.
Now it's time to read the comments.
David Post, better known online as Hoolopee, is a 3D animator and artist who typically creates animated parody videos of pop culture media. Initially, he produced comedic content involving RTX remakes and retro demakes that mix live-action footage and animation. However, since 2018, he has focused predominantly on creating 3D projects. As of March 2023, his most popular video by far, with over 16 million views, is Mini Portal Gun, which was released in September 2015. The video is a parody of the 2007 first-person puzzle platform game Portal. Mixing live action and animation, the humorous video plays out the what-if scenario of someone obtaining the portal gun used in the game and applying it to real-life situations. Following the video's phenomenal success, Post's later work varied widely in popularity, with his releases receiving anywhere between tens of thousands of views to multiple millions. One of his most successful videos has been Morshu RTX On, which was released in January 2021. The short is a remake of the brief but iconic cutscene of the minor character Merchant from the 1993 game Link: The Faces of Evil. In contrast to the source material, Post's remake is a high-quality 3D animation that's much more detailed and professional-looking than the original rough 2D footage.
Sorry, Link. I can't give credit. Come back when you're a little, richer.
The video was an immediate hit, quickly amassing multiple millions of views shortly after its release. While the short's views were well-deserved, its success, or rather, the reason the YouTube algorithm pushed it so hard, had a lot to do with Homer Loses It, which was released just a month before in December 2020. The Homer Loses It short had itself been preceded by another popular video, a teaser for Homer Loses It, released in October 2020 entitled Homer RTX On, in which Marge can be heard crying uncontrollably in a nearby room as Homer sits watching TV, rapidly losing his sanity. Impressively, the Homer Loses It short was produced using the free and open source software Blender. The vast majority of the short, from the writing to the direction to the animation, was done solely by Post himself, though the itchy and scratchy billboard was illustrated by fellow YouTuber Harry Partridge, who's best known as the creator of the series Starbarians.
Kilgar, we can't bring this guy in. We're way more wanted than he is.
Additionally, Post voiced Lenny, Mr. Burns, and occasionally Homer, though large portions of Homer's dialogue and sound effects were taken directly from the show.
Don't say revenge. Don't say revenge. Don't say revenge. Don't say revenge.
The short features two classic songs about lamentation from the early 1900s, the 1924 piece, The Prisoner's Song, and the 1928 ballad, I'd Rather Be Blue. In regards to the story, Post drew inspiration from two major pieces of Simpsons lore. The basic idea of Bart dying and the family's struggles to come to terms with the devastating loss came from the dead Bart urban legend, the creepypasta that was posted online in the 2010s and quickly went viral. According to the myth, a Simpsons fan once asked the show's creator, Matt Groening, about a supposed episode that was fully produced but never aired. In the supposed installment, the Simpsons family are traveling on a plane when Bart, as a result of a prank gone wrong, gets sucked out of the plane, leading to his death. The rest of the episode sees the surviving family members struggling to cope with their loss, as a usually upbeat series takes a nightmarish turn with a serious tone, coupled with gruesome imagery that's even more disturbing than had previously been seen in the series' Halloween Treehouse of Horror specials. Numerous people associated with the show have dismissed the legend on various occasions over the years, though they did reference it in the first episode of the 30th season, Bart's Not Dead. In the installment, Bart jumps off the Springfield Dam and falls from a great height before landing face first on the ground. He ends up in hospital, during which he tells people that he died and briefly went to heaven. Ultimately, the episode serves as a satire of for-profit religious films.
So, you give all your profits back to the church?
But the Simpsons staff did confirm that having Bart fall from a great height and ostensibly die was a reference to the dead Bart urban legend. The idea that Mr. Burns is responsible for Bart's death in the Homer Loses It short is a reference to the classic Simpsons episode, Bart Gets Hit by a Car, the 10th episode of the second season, which first aired in January 1991. In the installment, Bart is struck by Mr. Burns on one of the rare occasions when the billionaire actually drives himself. Bart is knocked unconscious, during which he goes to both heaven and hell. Ultimately, Homer Loses It was widely praised for truly capturing the spirit of the dead Bart legend. Many viewers celebrated it for being as good, if not better, than a Treehouse of Horror segment. Ironically, just a month before its release, the 31st installment of the Treehouse of Horrors aired in November 2020. One of the segments was a parody of the 1995 film Toy Story, done in a 3D animation style similar to that of the Toy Story film series and Post's own short. In the installment, before donating his toys to charity, Bart decides to torture them. Soon, the toys seek revenge, killing Bart and turning his corpse into a toy.
I would have never treated you bad if I'd known you had feelings.
You treat me bad and you know I have feelings.
While the segment was relatively well received, it was another example where the idea behind the short was arguably better than the execution, with the Simpsons staff failing to realize the concept's true potential, a problem that had long plagued the Treehouse segments. Conversely, many Simpsons fans praised Homer Loses It as being more in line with the spirit of the Treehouse of Horror series and something that belonged alongside the best of the classic Halloween segments. More so than anything else, though, Homer Loses It has widely been celebrated for its brutally realistic depiction of grief and the emotional impact and struggles over losing a child, while the short still manages to be accessible and entertaining.
It's probably about your dead son, huh? That's a real pickle.
Impressively, Homer Loses It has the heart, creativity, and emotion that made The Simpsons great in the first place. Remarkably, within just a few minutes of screen time, Post managed to humanize and empathize with Homer in a way that is only periodically being seen in the actual show.
So you're going to die.
Understandably, fan fiction in general varies widely in quality and is usually far from professional looking. But Homer Loses It illustrates that sometimes, when someone with legitimate talent and genuine passion for something can produce work that rivals the very source material that they're honoring, even when they're paying tribute to something as iconic as The Simpsons.
You seem to be looking around with a murderous intent in your eyes. That's a real pickle.